Hello and welcome once again. We are now going to do part two of business communication. Our objectives on this particular section is the importance of communication for effective supervisory management. We're going to talk about the major channels of communication available, and we're going to identify and examine the barriers that are there for effective communication and a way to overcome those barriers. So first of all, there are macro barriers. These are factors that hinder successful communication in a general communication session. Some common ones are channel selection, face-to-face rather than text or email on important issues, which is the best way to do it. Noise, it can disturb, distract, or confuse the receiver, so make sure you have a situation where there are no distractions around you and you can convey your information. Also, watch out for multi-meaning words, slang, and keep in mind that some words have multiple meanings. So, for some foreigners that we may have within our employ, be careful because some of those words may confuse them. Perception is that of jargon can mean different things to different people, or your message is not clear. So avoid using jargon and slang words. Interpretation can be based on personal mood and attitude. People use languages other than English, and the more international and diverse we become, the more languages that are becoming more common. For instance, Spanish, very big in this country now. Micro barriers are factors that hinder successful communication in specific situations, and some of these are the source's view of destination, the manager's view of where the message is going, perceiving the nature of the recipient. He understands, but they may not be. They may not be able to understand your message. And message interference, external noise, and again, distractions. Avoid communicating important issues where there are distractions. Trust and credibility is also a very big communication barrier. If the sender is not trusted, the receiver may not believe or accept the information received. They may have poor listening. They may hear you, but maybe not really listening, so the message becomes lost. Emotions, for goodness sakes, remain calm. If you get upset, do not holler because hollering results in turning people off, and they'll just shut you right out. Filtering is the system of hearing what they want to hear or altering the incoming message to a more favorable response. Maybe they misconstrue what you're saying so that it interprets out to something more to their liking. Noise, we already said noise is a distraction and a barrier. Obstacles that distort messages between people lead to misunderstanding, confusion, and conflict. Language and vocabulary differences. Semantics, again, some words have multiple meanings. Avoid acronyms, that's those abbreviated letters with larger meaning. Not everybody knows what those are. I've seen one company that has a complete dictionary of their acronyms. That's how many they have. That's absurd. There are differences in listening styles and attention span. Sometimes you tend to only hear what you want, or you listen but you don't really hear and your mind is wandering. That happens with people you're communicating to also. Too much information. Watch out that you don't information overload. Give employees too much information, resulting in their being overwhelmed with a lot of irrelevant and redundant messages. You want your message to get through. The internet and email. The internet use on the job can become time consuming for employees, and it does result in lost productivity. Use of email to communicate rather than face-to-face results in a loss of meaning, emphasis, and continuity among employees. Just because you wrote it and you were thinking of it in one frame of mind does not mean the person receiving it is getting it in that same frame of mind. And again, it depends on their attitude or mood at the time that they receive it. According to a majority of HR managers that were polled, what is a leading technology distraction for most younger employees today? I'm sure you can guess. Instant messaging and text messaging. Younger workers tend to focus more on that than they do the job task. Workplace ethics. Cell phones in the workplace. Is it ethical and socially responsible for employees to have and use their cell phones at work for personal calls, text messaging? What do you think? Is it ethical and socially responsible for the employers to ban cell phone usage while you're working? Think about that one also. They are paying you to do a job, and if you're spending your time taking care of personal messages or scanning YouTube, etc., that's not really doing what you're getting paid to. So yes, management will tend to be upset with you. Your status and position could be an effective communication barrier. Your status is your attitude towards a person based on the person's position. Filtering the process of omitting and softening unpleasant details. Give them the whole truth. Resistance to change or new ideas. If the message is intended to convey a change or a new idea, something that might change their work assignments or their daily routine, employees are a little inclined to resist that message because it takes them out of their comfort zone. Insensitive words and poor timing. Insensitive or offensive language can cloud or ruin your message, making the understanding more difficult. And not only that, if it's offensive, nobody wants to hear what you got to say. Timing is when other issues demand attention. Attentiveness to work information may fail to meet the other party's expectations. And providing too much information at the wrong time can also be a barrier to effective communication. How about the inability to create proper meaning? Communication begins when the sender transmits an idea or thought, but the receiver may interpret the message differently from what the sender intended, and this happens all too often. Convey simply and clearly. Say what you mean what you say, and I recommend check for understanding. So, overcoming barriers, there's a lot of them. For effective communication, you want to have the proper preparation planning. You want to use feedback. Speak in direct and clear language. Don't use those $20 words. Have a calm atmosphere. Do not convey your messages when you're angry or upset. Take time to listen. Watch your repetition of messages. Only reinforce those that are important and reinforce with words and actions. Steps to achieving communication. I'll leave this here for you to observe for a couple minutes. I'm not going to read every one of them. You can do that. But these are all good food for thought about communicating. You can also pause at this point if I haven't given you enough time. Now, remember to lead by example. Remember that you set the pace and people follow your lead. So if the office is 9 to 5, leaving at 3:30 to go play golf gives a bad perception to your employees. Or leaving at 3:45 when you're supposed to leave at 5 also gives a bad perception. So if you want people to be there 9 to 5, shouldn't you be there too? Influencing. The process of guiding activities of members in the appropriate direction. Influencing subsystem is a transparent system of directing and motivating your members. It involves 6 primary management activities: leading, motivating, considering groups, communicating, encouraging both creativity and innovation, and building a more positive corporate culture. And again, I'll leave this chart up for a couple of moments for you to observe. You may also pause if you like to read it further, and then continue by pressing the play button. Feedback, very important. Your reaction to a message or reaction to a situation. Managers need to encourage feedback to determine how things are going. Very important. Hey, how you doing today? How's that new process working? Feedback can either be verbal or nonverbal, and it can be done also by just observing reactions of the people that you're working with. Improving reception by finding ways to hear what others feel and think. Organizational silence. When employees withhold information about organizational problems or issues. Why? Because they don't feel like they can bring it up. They're afraid to speak up. You want to have an open door speak up policy. Company hotlines, phone numbers that anyone in the company can call anonymously to leave information for upper management, complaints, whistleblowing, perceived problems. Again, if you communicate properly, though, you don't have to worry about this port. Survey feedback, information that is collected by surveys from organizational members and then compiled, disseminated, and used to develop action plans for organizational improvement. Open door policy, allowing members to come forward and express their ideas, opinions, complaints, or problems without any repercussion or harassment. Doesn't mean they can just come in and invade your office anytime they want, but it means that you can select a time when it's possible to talk about a situation and you're receptive to it. You want to know more? Please visit the other communication topics here. We're going to get into listening effectively also. Thank you and have a wonderful day.